All right, so today we're going to really dig into something that I think a lot of you are really interested in, and that's figuring out how to use those Lestallion notebooks to really level up your studying.
Yeah, and it's interesting, I think, because Lestallion kind of manages to find this cool balance between, actually writing things down and all the, demands of learning these days.
Oh yeah, for
I
sure.
mean, it's not just about reading textbooks anymore, right? We've got online lectures and simulations, research
There's a
articles.
lot to keep track of.
It is.
Yeah, and it can be so easy to just feel completely swamped.
Totally.
Like you're taking notes just for the sake of taking notes.
Right.
I remember when I was in college,
Mm-hmm.
I was taking this anthropology class.
Okay.
It was super fascinating, but oh my gosh, my notes were a disaster.
Oh, no.
I had one of those spiral notebooks that wouldn't even lay flat.
Oh, I hate that.
It drove me crazy.
Yeah, I bet.
And that frustration just makes it so much harder to learn.
It does. And you know what? That's one thing I really appreciate about Lestallion is that lay flat binding. Right. It's so simple, but it makes such a huge difference.
It really does. You can actually focus on what you're writing instead of fighting with the notebook.
Exactly.
Oh man, I wish I had that back in college.
Yeah.
But even with a good notebook, there's still the whole issue of how do you organize all that information?
Right.
I mean, I've got friends who color code everything.
Oh.
Others are all about mind maps.
Yeah.
And then there are some who just write everything down in one giant stream of consciousness.
Oh, wow.
So how do you even start to figure out a system that actually works for you?
Oh, that's where those little details that Lestallion put into their notebooks really come in handy.
Okay.
Like take the numbered pages and the table of contents, for example.
Yeah,
Those aren't just there to look pretty.
right.
They're incredibly helpful for building like a structured index of your notes,
I see.
especially when you're dealing with a complex topic with a ton of different concepts that are all connected.
So it's kind of like a blueprint.
It is. It's like a roadmap for your knowledge.
That makes a lot of sense.
Right.
And speaking of structure, I've always been a big fan of the Cornell note method.
Oh, yeah, where you divide the page into sections.
Exactly. Cues, notes, and summaries.
Uh-huh.
Does Lestallion work well with that?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay, good.
The spacing on the line pages is perfect for the Cornell method.
Cool.
You can create those distinct sections without any trouble, and then the numbered pages help you connect your cues to the main notes.
Perfect.
It's a match made in study heaven.
It really is. And what about the paper itself?
Oh, yeah.
Lestallion really emphasizes using high-quality, thick paper.
Yeah.
Is that really that big of a deal?
It's more important than you might think.
Good.
Think about that feeling you get when you flip to the other side of the page
Uh-huh.
and you see the ink bleeding through from what you wrote before.
Yeah.
It's almost like your thoughts are getting jumbled up together.
The worst.
Right.
Wow.
But that's what's so great about Lestallion's 120 GSM paper. It prevents that bleed through, so you can use highlighters, fountain pens, whatever your writing weapon of choice is,
Oh, that's fantastic.
without worrying about ruining anything on the other side.
It's those little things that can make such a huge difference.
That really can.
I remember when I was studying for the MCATs,
Oh, yeah.
I was using this really thin, flimsy notebook.
Oh, no.
My notes were a mess.
Oh.
Smudged ink bleed through everywhere.
Oh.
It made it so hard to study and remember the information.
Yeah. I
It
bet.
felt like I was constantly fighting with the notebook
Right.
instead of focusing on the material.
It can be a real drain on your mental energy.
It really can.
But that's where Lestallion shines.
Yeah.
They eliminate that friction and let you focus on what matters.
Which is understanding the material.
Exactly.
You know, this reminds me of a story about my sister.
Okay.
She's super artistic and loves using fountain pens.
Uh-huh.
But she always had trouble taking notes because of the ink bleeding through.
Yeah, I can see how that would be a problem.
It was like her creativity was battling her practicality.
Right.
But then she got a Lestallion notebook for her birthday,
Yeah.
and it was a total game changer.
Oh, wow.
The thick paper let her use her favorite pens without any bleed through, and she actually started to enjoy taking notes.
That's awesome.
It became an extension of her creativity.
That's so cool.
And you know what? Her grades even went up because she was actually engaging with the material on a deeper level.
It's amazing how the way we write can affect how we learn.
It really is. It's like tricking your brain into loving to learn.
Right.
We've talked a lot about the physical parts of Lestallion notebooks, but let's get into how they can be used in practice.
Okay.
What are some study methods that work really well with these notebooks?
Sure.
I'm thinking mind maps, bullet journaling, flashcards, that kind of thing.
Well, Lestallion is super versatile.
Yeah.
You can use it for all of those and more.
That's great.
The dot grid option is amazing for mind maps and diagrams.
Oh, I bet.
It gives you structure without being too rigid. And for bullet journaling, the numbered pages and table of contents keep everything organized and easy to find.
That makes sense.
You can have a section for vocab, another for key concepts, one for practice problems. The possibilities are endless.
I love that idea of having a dedicated section for each part of a subject.
Yeah.
It's like your own personalized encyclopedia.
Exactly.
And what about flashcards?
Oh, yeah.
I know some people swear by those.
You can totally use them with Lestallion.
Right.
The back pocket is perfect for keeping them separate from your main notes, but still close at hand.
Oh, that's so smart.
It's like having a portable study deck built right in.
It's like they thought of everything.
They really did.
But with so many features, it can be overwhelming to know where to begin.
It can be.
So what would you suggest for someone who's brand new to Lestallion and wants to really use their notebook to the fullest?
Well, the most important thing is to figure out what your goal is.
Okay.
What are you hoping to achieve with this notebook?
Right.
Are you getting ready for a big exam? Trying to organize notes for a research paper? Or just looking for a better way to study every day?
I see.
Once you know what you want to accomplish, then you can start to explore the features and layouts that fit your needs best.
So it's all about being intentional and picking the right tools for the job.
It is.
It's like a chef deciding which knives to use for a certain dish.
That's a great analogy.
They wouldn't use a paring knife to carve a roast.
Exactly.
It's about using the right tool for the task.
And just like a chef needs to practice their knife skills, you need to develop good note-taking habits and techniques.
To get the most out of your Lestallion notebook.
It's not a magic solution,
Right.
but it can be a really powerful tool for learning and growing.
I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like having all the best ingredients but not knowing how to cook.
Right.
You need those skills to turn the raw materials into something amazing.
I love that analogy. So we've been talking about Lestallion for studying, but I've seen people using them for all kinds of stuff. Journaling, sketching, even project planning.
Oh, yeah.
Is that something Lestallion planned for or just kind of a happy accident?
I think it's a bit of both. You know,
Right,
the
fair.
things that make Lestallion great for studying,
Right.
the paper, the binding, the covers, those are just good features for other things too.
That's true.
But it's really interesting to see how people are using those features in ways that go beyond just note-taking.
Can you give us some examples?
Sure.
I'm always curious about how people find creative ways to use things.
Right. Well, I know someone who uses their Lestallion as a bullet journal.
Oh, clear.
They love the dot grid layout for making their own spreads and trackers.
Yeah.
And the numbered pages make it super easy to index everything.
It's like their own personalized system.
Exactly.
I can see that the dot grid is so versatile.
It is.
It gives you just enough structure without being too limiting.
Right.
I actually used a Lestallion dot grid notebook to plan my last vacation.
Oh, that's cool.
I made little maps, lists of places to see. I even tracked my expenses.
Wow.
All in one place. It was like my own custom travel guide.
That's a great example of how these notebooks can be used in different situations.
Right.
It's not just about the features themselves.
I see.
It's about how you use them to create a system that works for you.
So speaking of systems,
Yeah.
I've noticed that a lot of people are using Lestallion notebooks for creative things,
Uh-huh.
like sketching, watercolor painting, even calligraphy.
Oh, wow.
It seems kind of weird to use a notebook for studying for something so artistic.
Right.
What do you think about that?
Well, I think it shows how good the paper and the overall quality of the notebooks are.
Okay.
The paper is thick and smooth, so it can handle all sorts of mediums without bleeding through or warping,
Right.
which is really important for artists and calligraphers.
Yeah.
And the lay-flat binding means you have a steady surface to work on,
I see.
even when you're pressing down with a brush or pen.
It's like a portable art studio.
Exactly.
And for people who love fountain pens,
Uh-huh.
that high-quality paper, it must be amazing.
It is, the paper is made to prevent feathering and bleed through, which is especially important for fountain pen users because their inks are often wetter.
Right.
It lets the ink flow smoothly and evenly so you get nice, clean lines.
This might sound a little nerdy, but
Go ahead.
I get ASMR tingles just thinking about a fountain pen gliding across a smooth page.
Oh, I totally get
It's so satisfying.
There's something so tactile and almost meditative about writing with a fountain pen.
Yeah.
You just don't get that with a keyboard.
It's like slowing down and really enjoying each word.
Right.
And it's not just about how it looks either. I've heard that writing by hand can actually help you remember things better.
Oh, yeah. There's actually a lot of research that suggests that's true.
Really?
When you write by hand, you're using a bunch of different parts of your brain,
Okay.
including the ones for motor control, language processing, and memory.
So it's more engaging.
It is, and that can lead to better understanding and remembering compared to typing.
It's like the difference between watching a movie and acting in a play.
Exactly.
They're more involved.
Right. And writing by hand can also help you avoid distractions.
Okay.
When you're on a computer, it's easy to get sidetracked by emails or notifications,
Oh, yeah, for sure.
or even just all the information on the screen.
Right.
But when you're writing in a notebook, your attention is more focused on what you're doing.
It's like creating your own little space where you can think without being interrupted.
That's a great way to put it.
You know, this makes me think of my grandfather.
Oh, yeah.
He was a journalist, and he loved his typewriter,
Uh-huh.
but he always kept a notebook with him, too.
Really?
He'd write down ideas, observations, even snippets of conversations he overheard.
That's cool.
He said that writing things down by hand helped him think about things in a different way
Nice.
and come up with more creative angles for his stories.
That's a great example of how even in a job that relies heavily on technology,
Right.
there's still a place for the old-fashioned tools.
It's like going back to basics, to the core act of writing and letting your thoughts flow.
And it's not just writers who find value in this.
Right.
I've heard of therapists recommending journaling to their clients
Oh, wow.
as a way to work through emotions, understand themselves better, and even reduce stress.
Journaling can be so powerful.
It gives you a safe space to explore your thoughts and feelings without judgment.
Yeah.
And writing them down can help you gain clarity and see things from a new perspective.
It's like having a conversation with yourself on paper.
Exactly. And with a Lestallion notebook,
Uh-huh.
that conversation is beautifully preserved
Right.
thanks to the high-quality paper and the durable binding.
It's like creating a physical record of your journey.
It is. It's a legacy that you can look back on years later.
It's amazing to think that these notebooks could be found by people in the future,
Right.
giving them a glimpse into our lives.
It's like a time capsule.
And it all starts with a simple notebook and a pen.
Sometimes the simplest tools are the most powerful.
And with Lestallion,
Uh-huh.
those simple tools are made even better with their craftsmanship and design.
It makes the experience so much more enjoyable and inspiring.
It's a reminder that even in our digital world,
Yeah.
there's still something special about pen and paper.
It's timeless. Yeah, it really
Yeah.
is amazing how something as basic as a notebook can connect us to like the past, the present, and the future.
Right. It's like a physical embodiment of all our thoughts and ideas and experiences.
Exactly. And it reminds us that even in this crazy, fast-paced digital world we live in,
Uh-huh.
there's still so much value in slowing down,
Yeah,
disconnecting from all the noise, and just being present in the act of writing.
absolutely. You know, as we've been talking about Lestallion notebooks and journaling in general,
Yeah.
I've been thinking about my own journey with these tools.
Oh, really?
I remember when I first started using a Lestallion notebook, I was actually kind of intimidated.
Oh, why is that?
It was those pristine pages and that elegant design.
I see.
It felt like I had to have something really profound to say before I could even start writing.
Oh, I totally get that. It's like the blank page is staring you down, daring you to fill it with something worthwhile.
Exactly. But then I realized that the real beauty of a journal is in its freedom.
Uh-huh.
There are no rules, no expectations, no right or wrong way to use it.
It's your space.
It's a space to experiment, to explore, to be messy, to be imperfect.
To just be yourself without any judgment.
And that's when things really started to click for me.
Oh, how so?
I started using my Lestallion notebook for more than just studying.
Yeah.
I'd write down random thoughts, brainstorm ideas, sketch out designs, even jot down funny things my kids said.
Oh, that's sweet.
It became like an extension of my mind, a physical record of my day-to-day life.
It's interesting how a journal can start out as one thing and then evolve into something so much more.
It really is, and it's not just about the words themselves.
Right.
It's about the act of writing, of slowing down, of really connecting with your thoughts and feelings in a conscious way.
It's a practice that cultivates presence, awareness, intentionality.
And I think it's more important now than ever before.
Oh, I agree.
In a world that's constantly demanding our attention, journaling offers a way to reclaim our focus, to get back in touch with ourselves, and to find a sense of inner peace.
It's a reminder that even amidst all the chaos and distractions, we can create our own little sanctuary.
One page at a time.
Exactly. So as we wrap up this deep dive into Lestallion notebooks and the power of journaling, I encourage you to try it out.
Embrace the simplicity and beauty of this practice.
Pick up a pen, open a notebook, and just start writing.
Your journey is waiting.